The new C63 is the most controversial AMG ever made, downsizing from a V8 to a 4-cylinder engine. Let's take a close look at this car and see what it's really like with the 4-cylinder power. The C63 is a legendary nameplate after only 2 previous generations. This new model is a completely different car. So this is now the W206 generation. A lot has already been said about the car, but I wanted to see for myself. Let's go through some of the facts and then I'll give some thoughts on the car towards the end of the video. Quick thanks to Pfaff Reserve Leasing in Vancouver for lending me the car. I reached out to them and they kindly provided the car for a day. It's available right now and I'll leave all of the info in the description. Under the hood we have the 2-liter M139 engine. It alone produces 469 horsepower and 402 pound-feet of torque. This is the first production engine with an electrically assisted turbocharger. This helps to keep the massive Garrett turbo spooled up and ready. Yes, 235 horsepower per liter is a lot, but we have a strong, closed-deck block with the iron carbon cylinder wall coating just as we had before in the previous generation C63s. We have forged pistons in this engine, and the M139 uses direct fuel injection, but also has a second stage port injection to help achieve this high output. As before, we have the 9-speed MCT wet clutch gearbox, and power goes through a fully variable 4-matic all-wheel drive system for the first time on a C63. On the rear axle, we have an electric motor that provides up to 200 horsepower, coupled to a 2-speed transmission at the rear axle. The combined output is 670 horsepower and 752 pound-feet of torque. The electric-only range is minimal, and it wasn't really designed for that. It was designed to deliver rapid bursts of power and recuperate very quickly. The 400-volt battery weighs around 200 pounds itself, and it's directly cooled with its own 14 liters of coolant. The design of the battery used input from the Mercedes-AMG F1 team. Bringing all these systems together are 8 drive programs that you can select from, with a few drive dynamic settings on top of that. You can start off in comfort mode fully electric, and the engine will just seamlessly come on when you push the gas a bit further. As you go more towards race mode on the dial, the car has more electric boost made available. It's really a very complicated car, but as soon as you put it in race mode, you can really tell that this is an incredibly fast and capable car. The most impressive thing is the instant kick of power from the hybrid system at lower RPMs in race mode. It gives that instant acceleration like the old 55 compressor engines. The previous C63 engines like the M177 and M156 didn't have instant response at lower RPMs, so this is an improvement. The car is so damn fast even at half throttle. The numbers it's capable of are strong, 0 to 60 miles an hour in 3.3 seconds and quarter-mile times just over 11 seconds. The C63 has adaptive dampers with 3 modes. The ride is on the stiff side but never uncomfortable. The comfort mode seems to allow for more body roll, while it tightens up in the sport mode. The car has very good steering for an electric system. We have the AMG specific wide track at the front, and we have active rear steering at the back. The rear axle steering at low speeds goes in the opposite direction of the front wheels for agility and parallel to the front wheels at high speed for stability. The all-wheel drive makes it more usable than ever. And with this car, if you so wish, you can put it into rear-wheel drive only as well. We have solid 6-piston brakes up front. They feel fine in the race mode because the regen braking is reduced, but it's still definitely not the best feeling brake pedal. It's a heavy car at around 2,111 kilograms, and you do feel it, but they do a really good job of managing the weight. This car can deliver good fuel consumption numbers. You should be able to do 35 miles per gallon if you drive conservatively. This is compared to around 22 miles to the gallon with the previous generation if you were driving very carefully. I think the exterior styling is excellent. It's a very good-looking sedan in my opinion, and I prefer how it looks to the old 205 generation. It's aggressive but restrained at the same time. The only real critique is that the trunk line is too high. It does look better as a wagon or estate model. I very much like this interior. It's what I would want or expect from a new C-Class and more. The layout resembles the S-Class. The steering wheel is nice. We've seen this design before in the old E63. The standard seats are excellent, very comfortable but still supportive enough. The infotainment is well implemented here and a huge jump from the previous generation. Everything is pretty seamless here, and the optional head-up display with the map directions is superb. If I'm nitpicking, I would prefer physical climate control dials and buttons, but otherwise, well done. The rear seat space is also pretty good for a C-Class. So $86,000 is the MSRP for 2025 models in the USA, and in Canada it's currently listed as not available. So this car is actually a very late 2024. If you're in the market for one of these, there are a few key options to consider. We've got the upgraded 20-inch split 10-spoke wheels over the base 19-inch wheels. The Night Package blacks out the lower trims, and the Night Package Plus blacks out the front grille and badges. You can go further and add carbon trim packages. This car has the graphite gray Magno paint finish, which looks great in my opinion. Inside we have the Titan gray and black Nappa leather on this car, and we have the metal weave trim, which looks pretty good. And the key thing for the interior is that AMG performance seats are an available option. Front carbon ceramic brakes are also available, as well as a driver's assistance package, and there's a performance design package with a few things like a race top speed. And those are pretty much the key options. So after some quick impressions of the car, let's go through some of the downsides to start. The first is that the lack of trunk space due to the battery is insane. You won't fit a Costco run in here. Because of this, the wagon version makes a lot more sense. They should have offered it here in North America. Another problem for many is that the car doesn't sound very good. It is what I expected, to be honest. They definitely tried to do something with the interior and exterior speakers, and it definitely sounds better in the car than what's heard over video. Since AMG is using so many speakers for the sound, they could have done something better, a bit more natural sounding. Overall, it's a very quiet and discreet car. I think die-hard AMG fans will struggle with this car because it doesn't have the emotion of the old V8 cars. But AMG says that this car is opening the door to new customers. There are definitely countries out there that tax vehicles based on displacement and emissions. So this 2-liter package makes sense in those situations when you get these tax breaks. Now, that being said, there are major upsides comparing this car to the older models. It's a very good daily driver with instant performance, good looks, a nice interior, and it's faster and more usable year-round than the old models could ever be. At the end of the day, you have to respect the effort and engineering. Should they have called it a C63 AMG? Sure, that would avoid some of the hate. But marketing is marketing. They didn't call the last car C40 AMG either. If you could only have one car and wanted it to be quite efficient but still good to drive in year-round conditions and fast, this is it. But again, you can also get the BMW M3 with all-wheel drive as well. If you can get over how the M3 looks, that's an amazing car, and the S58 engine is a proper piece of engineering. The old 2023 E63 is the most tempting used cross shop for me personally. It has a comparable weight to this C63, and it has similar all-weather performance, and it has 8 cylinders. Compared to a CLA 45, this is a much nicer car overall, and it's way faster, but it's a lot more expensive and does rely on a very similar engine. If you don't need the neck-snapping performance of the C63, there is also the C43 to consider as kind of that good daily driver as well. If you put the engine choice aside, I think this car is fantastic. If it had an M177, this car would be near perfect in my opinion. But AMG is having to chase stricter regulations on emissions and noise in the next 2 years, so it makes it very tough for them. So as Jeremy Clarkson would say, long on engineering but a bit short on passion. That's a good way to summarize this car. Probably one of the most technically brilliant cars AMG has ever made, but it leaves you just a bit cold. Again, thanks to FAF Reserve Leasing. I wanted to drive this car since it was released 2 years ago, and they've only just started arriving in Canada very recently. Mercedes Canada never provided any test cars, so when I saw that FAF just got one in, I reached out. In my opinion, this C63 is certainly a good lease option to drive around every day while still having something incredibly capable. Anyways, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, take a look at my store. Link is in the description. If you want to see more Mercedes and AMG content, subscribe for more videos like this one.